Join me as we talk about the new FBI director, regime change in all these countries that the United States has been involved in, and the gold standard. Stick around. You just might learn something. Welcome to the Eric T. Conversation. I'm Eric T. Well, Kash Patel is now our FBI director, and I think that's great. If you're on the left, it's probably not so good for you. If you're on the right, you should be very excited. Some people on the right might not be too excited about it either, but the left is certainly worried. So when he's going to get in there, he's told very publicly and said it on many podcasts and even tweeted it many times what his intentions are when he gets into the FBI. And he's going to do it. There's an excerpt of Trump during the campaign. They asked him, "Do you have a secret weapon?" And he turned around and he said, "Cash." Check it out.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, what's your secret weapon?
Cash.
So that tells me right there that he's been waiting for Cash to get in there as a director of the FBI and start cleaning house and start some real investigating. There's a lot of people on the left that are going to be very worried that he's in there because there is evidence a mile long of the corruption in our government. And hopefully they're going to clean it out. So I know there's a lot of people out there that just don't understand what's going on right now. And all the things that Trump has been doing is just making it worse for our country. And if you're on the left, you're going to believe that. Not all of you on the left, but some of you that just can't see past your own nose, you're going to believe all the rhetoric that the newscasts and legacy media are telling you. So here's a news flash. All of the media has been paid for. Doge already found that. Doge found Politico, BBC, Washington Post, amongst about 4,000 other news organizations were receiving money from USAID. So if you're USAID and you're spending millions and millions of dollars to news organizations, what do you think that's for? It's for propagating what you need to be said on these media outlets. Media outlets, legacy media, they are for-profit organizations. 60 Minutes kind of started that, with the news every Sunday at 7 o'clock. And then they started getting sponsorships and advertising dollars. And now that's what the regular news has become. It's a money grab. So they're going to do what they need to do to get ad dollars. And they're going to do what they need to do to keep getting that free money. And they're going to promote whatever they need to be promoted. All it is advertising for them. And unfortunately, they've skewed their way over the last 20, 25 years to be very untrusted form of media and news. They're supposed to report facts, not just propaganda or opinionated. Now, there are opinion shows. I'm an opinion guy. I give you my opinion and how I feel about things. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's political. Sometimes it's current events. Don't believe everything I say. I hope everybody that listens to me does a little research. Or if you've done a little research on your own, maybe you agree with me, and that's great. And I do a good amount of research before I do any of these podcasts. I sit down, I read different news sources. I don't just go to the first one that popped up on Google. If you do that, you're making a huge mistake. You get keywords out of different articles and you put them back in a search engine, and then you find some more information of news that you are trying to find. Because a lot of times with your algorithms in some of these mediums or some of these platforms or some of these apps, it's going to skew you one way or another, however you start looking for things. If you are constantly looking for things that are on the left, your algorithm is going to say you're going to get things on the left, and so forth on the right. So I try to stay somewhere in the middle, and I make my own interpretation by finding facts that I believe that are true. And then I say them on here. Some people can agree with me, some people may not. But if you're believing what the legacy media is telling you on the news, you're a fool. Because they are propaganda, that they are being paid. It's a fact. They've already discovered that through Doge. They've already traced it who is going to. And it's like 4,000 different media outlets that are getting funding from our own government. So when you look at those newscasts, you should take it with a grain of salt and really do some investigations on your own. Because a well-informed voter is not what they want. They want us mindless. They want us controlled. They don't want you to be able to think for yourself. Because the more you start thinking for yourself, the less control that they have. And they don't want that. They want you dumb so they can tell you what to do and what to believe in. So if you're on the left or even on the right, do your own research. Don't watch podcasts or clips from TikTok or Instagram or wherever and get that 15, 30-second, 1-minute clip and think that's law. Because we're wrong all the time. I've been wrong a few times, and I try to correct it in the comments, but I try to be as accurate as possible with the research that I find. And everybody starts to argue, well, where do you find that research? You can't trust that news source. Yeah, that's why you dig a little deeper. So be well informed with your resources because they don't want you smart. They want you dumb so they can manipulate you and make you do what they need you to do. So that's part of the whole propaganda that I just have to fight through all the time when we do these, is that you have to start believing things that you find for yourself and make your own opinion on it. And hopefully it's based on facts that you discover. So the whole Ukraine thing is kind of really getting blown up. We're funding them a lot of money. Zelensky's kind of getting pissed off. He's having arguments. Now you got Europe, and then you got, President Macron from France coming to the United States to talk to Trump to say, hey, listen, we need to be on these negotiations too when you talk to Russia and Ukraine. And Trump's like, listen, you've been here 3.5 years. You haven't done jack. The United States has supported Ukraine more than any other country or any other continent, with arms, with money, with all that stuff. Yeah, I know it's a lot of arms that we're sending them, but it is a lot of cash that we sent. So the European Union, these guys, they want to go over to President Trump and say, hey, listen, we need to be part of that action. And he's telling you, look, no, that your time is over. It's time for me to get involved. And I said from the very beginning, do the campaign trail, I can end this war. And that's what he's going to do. But the United States has been involved with a lot of regime changes since World War II. A lot of them, probably about 100. And what I mean by regime changes, we've changed people who were in power, either covertly or overtly. We've done that. Either we've been directly involved with boots on the ground, or we funneled money, or we've done propaganda. One way or the other, the United States has been involved with about 100 different regime changes, all the way from Libya in 2011, Iraq in 2003, 1954, in Chile in 1973. We've done a bunch of different things. But the United States government is kind of a bully with a lot of that. And Trump's trying to change that. And for all the people out there that just can't see past their nose, like I said, you're not going to see that. You're not going to see that we want peace all over the world. Every president that gets in there and every administration that gets in office, Russia is the boogeyman. Now, Vladimir Putin is a bad dude. Former KGB guys, he would love nothing more than the Soviet Union to go back to the USSR and have all that land back again. That's part of the reason why he's trying to go after Ukraine. He wants it all back before the Cold War. That's what he's looking for. He's obviously not going to get that. Those days are over. But he's a boogeyman for everybody. And at some point in time, you have to realize, you know what? Maybe if everybody just had peace and we all just got along, and we didn't have this constant conflict, we have one boogeyman here, these people are doing things wrong here. The United States, we got to watch them. We got to send inspectors to that area of their country to make sure they're doing things right. How about everybody just gets along and we have peace? Heck, Russia's a very old country. It's got beautiful buildings. People can go on there for vacations. The people there are very religious. They're Christians. And for the most part, they like their culture, just like China, Japan, and all these other countries around the world. The United States needs to be done with it. And I think that's what Trump's doing. So all the funneling of money and trying to get these regime changes, those days have to be over because it's a new era for the United States. And hopefully the elitists that are controlling and manipulating a lot of these politicians can start getting out of the way and getting our country for what it was actually designed for, by the people, for the people. And we sent them to the tune of like almost $200 billion. And guess what? We're almost bankrupt. We're sending money to Israel, Taiwan, you name it. We got our hands in it, passing out money. And it's time that we start focusing on the United States. So Doge is finding a lot of government waste. And people that are just constantly arguing, saying, well, there's nothing there. Even Senator Schumer said, yes, there's government waste, but you don't take a meat cleaver to it. Well, how else are you supposed to do it? Sometimes you just got to rip that Band-Aid off and you got to expose that wound and see what's going on. Then you got to do a little triage on it and figure out what we're going to do, what we're going to put places, what we're going to fix, what we're going to prioritize. That's how it's going. Our U.S. currency is worth really nothing. It's only backed by the United States and the power of our country. In 1971, Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard. The dollar was backed by the gold. It's been almost 53, 54 years since our currency was backed by anything. It's just backed by the United States. That's why we have inflation, because we're constantly printing more money up. So when people talk about all this money that Doge is finding, like, oh, I saw a guy the other day. He did a TikTok live, young guy, probably 20, 21 years old. He's in college. He was doing a live, and he was completely crashing on the right. And I don't join typical lives, but I just had to because it was almost laughable. And I explained to him, I said, listen, the United States has found $2.7 trillion in Medicaid and Medicaid aid that we sent unauthorized to other countries. And he was, oh, that's physically impossible to do. No, it's not. Not when you're printing money. And that's what we've been doing. We are printing money pretty much out of thin air. It's backed by nothing. I believe we need to go back to the gold standard. I think we're going to Fort Knox. That's going to happen. They're going to audit all that gold in there. It's probably there. There's no reason for me to think it's not there. But if it's there and we count it, I hope Trump puts us back on the gold standard. Then we can't just print money just to print money to send it somewhere. We actually have to account for it. Every dollar has to be backed by gold. And that's the way it should be. I think that's somewhere in our Constitution that it's backed by the gold or some precious metal. The Coin Act of 1792 tied our currency to a precious metal like gold and silver. You know, there are silver certificates that are out there. I have a $5 one and a $1 one that was backed by silver, our actual paper currencies. So we need to get back to that to help smooth out the inflation that our country keeps getting themselves into. We owe $36 trillion. Okay? We printed a little bit, and then the rest we borrow from other countries, but yet we're the most generous country in the world. And it needs to stop. All these people that are worried about the Ukraine war, the Russian war, the Palestine, Gaza, Israel, let's stop. Worry about the United States of America and start putting money back into our pockets. They're talking about, Trump even said the other day that all that money that Doge is finding, when they finally get it all done, maybe giving 20% back to the taxpayers. Right, taxpayers. If you didn't pay taxes, you don't get any money. That's how it works. So everybody that paid money into the system is basically going to get a check back from our Doge money that they're finding. All the money that and this isn't inflation. This is money that's already allocated and printed up and ready to go. So it's a surplus. So when we find it, kicks them back to the United States citizens that paid those taxes because they deserve it. Anyway, that's the conversation of the day. Join me next time for a little chit chat, some observation, and some good old fashioned conversation. Like us, subscribe, pass it to a friend. Appreciate it. We'll see you next time.